church of its tax-exempt status, saying that it was actually a nightclub because the church on it, listen, the church on its website promoted activities including lingerie and pajama events, twerking, and naked paintball parties.
You know, it doesn't sound like a church, but it does sound like Thanksgiving at my house.
The first clue was when you walked in, the water fountain was filled with Astroglide.
Jesus Christ defended the church saying, hey, I love pajamas. What do you think I was crucified in?
And the name of the club was called Good God, Come to Jesus. Pancake breakfast.
Give them their tax-exempt status back, people. All right, it was just a church trying to do the Lord's twerk. The AICPA hosted a webcast recently titled Understanding the Impact of Legalized Marijuana on the CPA Profession. The webinar was intensely engaging to every CPA who'd recently been impacted by 1/8 of an ounce of legalized marijuana.
I think the only real consequence would be CPAs realizing that money is a corporate tool used to enslave the middle class and rolling a fat blunt with your W-2.
Accountants have a lot to learn about legal marijuana. Like, for instance, a $10 bag of marijuana is called a dime bag. Do you know what an accountant would call a $10 bag of marijuana? We would call it a $10 goddamn bag of marijuana. Otherwise, we'd spend the whole rest of the day trying to figure out where the other $9.90 went to. The company Intuit, the parent company for TurboTax and QuickBooks, they during this last tax season, they teamed up with a Rhode Island brewery to come out with a beer called CPA IPA. Okay, making a beer designed specifically for accountants is a horrible idea. Every accountant is going to say that the difference between 0.00 and 0.08 is a rounding error.
They've created a beer for accountants called CPA IPA. The idea was that you drink enough until accountancy becomes interesting. So far, 43 people have died of alcohol poisoning.
There's a tax shelter board game that you can purchase on Amazon called Stick the IRS.
They chose Stick the IRS because someone had already patented Make Uncle Sam Suck Your Big Nuts.
Everyone gets $2,000. Someone is picked to be the banker, and then the banker changes all the rules, says, too big to fail, and everyone pays $2,000.
Apparently the game is so much fun that you'll donate it to Goodwill and claim that it's valued at $250 for tax purposes. It's a little bit tedious, the game, because every single space on the board is go to jail. Utah, the state of Utah, the legislature in our state, they passed a law, and our state will be the first state in the country to have a white-collar felon registry, which is excellent information to have, okay? Because that creepy guy that lives down the street from me with the mustache, when he was tickling my balls, I had this feeling that I'm like, I bet you this guy falsely accelerates his revenue recognition.
I disagree with the registry thing because, you know, people are comparing it to like sex offender stuff, and like, you know, growing up, I always kind of didn't want to know. I never looked at those. I thought it was a little bit perverse. And like sex offenders, I think that white collar crime should just be a fun and scary surprise.
Utah saw it as setting up a white-collar felon registry. It's going to be published every 2 years, and they're going to call it the ballot.